Craig, Toulouse coming up on Saturday afternoon in the Betfred Championship. You've had a couple of days now to reflect on the defeat to Bradford in the 1895 Cup. How are you obviously feeling after reflecting on that one?
Yeah, pretty much as it were on the day. A sense of disappointment that we let the game get away from us at the start of that second half and never really recovered from it. I thought the starting middles put in a shift, and I thought that on the day. But watching the game back a couple of times as well, the work rate that they put in there and the effort that they put in there were just phenomenal. I think for the starting middles and Reece Butter was doing 80 minutes for the first time this season. We know the other 9 on the bench as well. I thought he had a real good game and a big effort from him as well. So yeah, just that sense of disappointment, but also really proud of the efforts that they put out there with 9 first team players potentially not being out there as well, and hopefully get a couple more back this week and fatten that squad out a little bit so we've got maybe a little bit more experience coming off the bench.
You say there about the players that were obviously without at the weekend. Just how hard has it been, obviously, week on week, having to kind of pick from a limited squad, if you say?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's sport, and there's no point crying over it because you can't change it. It's difficult playing on a weekend, but it's difficult during the week as well because you can't get the connections that you want to build. That'll come. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm sure for everybody watching, it's frustrating for us as a playing staff and a coaching staff as well, that we want to get them combinations there and get that connectivity there for game days on a weekend. But that will come. So it's frustrating at times, but you've got what you've got and you can't really change that. And we played a full strength Bradford team with 9 out. We played a real strong Oldham team the week before with 7 out as well. So it's taking time to get these bodies back in there, but hopefully we can get some back in this week.
Back at home on Saturday afternoon, Toulouse are the visitors. A full-time side who obviously will be coming here wanting to try and get the win themselves. But what kind of test are you expecting from the French side?
I think their big strengths are coming out of backfield. The outside backs, 2 wingers are real strong carriers, and Ollie Eshelbolt at full back as well as a live wire. Depends on what half-back combination they've got there. I think they've had a couple of injury issues over the last 2 or 3 games themselves, and they've brought Thomas Lacans in from Featherstone, who's gone back home, so he's certainly strengthened them as well. So I think what we need to do is we need to win the first early carries from their outside backs to prevent them getting on a roll on and get their middles back behind the ball further up the field, rather than the outside backs getting 30-40 metres on plays 1, 2 and 3, and then the middle don't have to get back as far as well. So ending the sets well, completing the sets, ending the sets well, and defending the first 2 or 3 plays really well.
I can imagine, obviously, it'll be a tough game plan that they obviously impose, and obviously will want to try and exploit certain weaknesses of themselves. But they've had a 2-week rest. Obviously, last time they were in England, they were defeated at Doncaster. So you never know what can happen in these kind of games, can you?
No, you don't. And I've watched that Doncaster game, and it looked like the conditions were pretty challenging with the wind. And there were a lot of errors in that game, which I think the weather probably contributed to that one as well. And then the previous week, they beat Doncaster quite comfortably. Sorry, beat Hunslet quite comfortably at home. But that was again a different game, going over to France and playing on their own patch. So it's not easy for teams travelling over to France, and it's always difficult when you go over there. So we've got to make sure it's difficult for them coming over there, travelling over to the UK.
And I can imagine, obviously, in the playing squad, there'll be a real hunger amongst them all. Obviously, the last couple of games, we've gone from winning positions to a position where we've lost. So the players must really want to go out there, especially being at home, and obviously want to do it for the fans in particular.
Yeah, definitely. We spoke about that today, that on the review, there are a lot of good things out there, but in every game this year, we've been in the position to win that game at half time, and with the exception of the Featherstone game, which were tight, and obviously the Doncaster game was slightly different, but the close games so far this season at half time, where we've come in winning at half time, we've lost. So we need to make sure that we reset better at half time and come out starting the second half and not conceding a try in the first 5-6 minutes. So we've got to have something where we flick that switch, where we go back out again at the start of the second half and we wipe the slate clean and come out defensively really good and make sure that we execute our players as well.
And with the game on Saturday, it's a double header here in Sheffield. The women's team play beforehand in the Women's Challenge Cup, and then obviously it's our game. So how great is it to obviously be part of that double header and obviously seeing the women's team and the men's play at the same stadium?
Yeah, it's great, and hopefully we can get people down there watching both games, not just the men's game at the end of the day, but make sure we get people down there watching the women as well.